and welcome to the Aid Station. I'm Chris Robb, and today really looking forward to meeting Alex Tanti. Alex he actually wears two hats. He's the CEO and co-founder of RaceCheck, and he's also the chief of product at Super League Triathlon. He's joining us from Barcelona. Nice to see you, Alex. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the invite.
No, it's wonderful. You've got a great story, and I'm really excited to share it with the audience. On the Aid Station, we get to meet so many people, and I love so often meeting young entrepreneurs who've made a mark and created an impact on the industry, and you're certainly one of those. And I'd love you to start by telling us with a little bit of your background story, please.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Greek. I grew up in Greece, went to university in the UK, and then I went into banking after that. I studied Japanese, so most of my career was in Tokyo. I spent 12 years as an investment banker in Tokyo and Hong Kong. And sometime during those years, I fell in love with triathlon. I did my first triathlon. I was challenged by one of my bosses back there, and I decided to take part in a triathlon in Ishigaki in Japan. I just absolutely fell in love with the sport, and I got the bug. I got the endurance bug. And from then on, I just started racing triathlons all around the world, taking part in maybe 5-6 events a year, traveling all over the place. And through that, I started realizing, some needs of this really fast-growing industry. I also took part in some really badly organized triathlons, and because of that, I wanted to kind of share that feedback with other participants and also with organizers. Because we spend so much time and money, participating in these events, you really want to ensure that you're going somewhere where you're going to be respected for that time and money, and be treated well. And there was no real platform where people could share that feedback, like TripAdvisor, for example. So I decided to create one, and that was how RaceCheck came about. A platform where participants can share feedback in a constructive way to really help organizers improve, but also, help each other discover greater events all around the world. So in a nutshell, I guess that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, a great initiative. And I think I told you when we had a call a few months ago, myself and my wife had a similar idea many years ago, and we just never got to bring it to fruition. So congratulations on that. I think I'm right in saying that your sister Katerina was involved in that development with you as well. Is that correct? That was a bit of a family affair, like our dream was, but we went down the MPW track, and it's just great. It's a great service to the industry. And you were telling me before you came on air, before we started recording, this year's been an amazing year for you. You closed the deal with Super League Triathlon that's invested in you, and obviously you've now got that role with them as well. Tell us a little bit about what's happening currently. The industry's been really busy in the UK and Europe and America, and you're talking about an exciting year ahead. I'd love to get your insights into that, please.
Yeah, 2020 and 2021 have been really pivotal years for us. To give you an idea, we went into February 2020 in fundraising mode. So that was an absolute shocker. And 2020 was really all about just surviving, keeping the lights on. But thankfully, we managed to find some amazing partners, in Super League. They're doing an incredible contribution to the sport of triathlon. They're really kind of reframing everything into a very exciting and dynamic format. There's a lot of overlap in terms of the audience that we speak to, both with RaceCheck and Super League. So and also on the technology side of things, there's a lot of things we could work together on. So it was even though it might sound a little bit awkward, but it is actually a very natural fit. So for us, 2021, is when that deal was closed, and we went back into growth mode. It's been in that sense, it's been a great year for us. RaceCheck has started forming into a real company again with proper sales, proper tech support, and also the fact that the industry is starting to come back, coincided with all that, which has ended in a very well. We're ending 2021 with really good momentum. Let's put it that way. The key insights that we've had for this year is that events are really going local. So there's a lot less, international travel for events. Local organizers are starting to be empowered again in creating more of a local product for people to only have to travel nationally. So going into 2022, I think that's a trend that's only going to strengthen. I don't know whether you've traveled recently, but it's, even going as close as, from Barcelona going to London is just crazy. It's so difficult to travel, so many different requirements and, weights. I had to go to the US for the Malibu Triathlon for Super League, and I was stuck in a detention center for 2.5 hours, having my papers checked, this and that. Like, people are just you just don't want to travel internationally these days. So 2022 again is going to be strengthening that trend of people, traveling locally to attend to races. And RaceCheck is, uniquely positioned to really service those local organizers and empower those local organizers. So I think we're very excited about 2022.
That sounds great, and I'm really interested. It's great to have that positivity. I'm interested to hear, and it doesn't surprise me. I must admit, early on, I was saying I thought there was this great opportunity for local events, regional events, bespoke events, people reconnecting with nature and friends and family, and doing those kind of things, kind of going away for events. I'm interested to see new formats that you see popping up. Is it some of the traditional things that are starting to happen, just kind of coming back similar, or they're new formats, the blend of digital and on ground in-person events? So how are you seeing that from, we've seen the amazing stuff obviously that Super League have been doing, but in terms of their arena series and so on, but what are you seeing in the more recreational participant side in terms of that?
There's certainly new type formats of races popping up. For example, I took part in an incredible event that was put up by Jan Frodeno in October in Girona, and that was an event that went from point A to point B, and it wasn't a race. It was a fun, competitive event, let's say, which is a triathlon, but it was a trail triathlon. And then you might think, well, Xterra, but yes, but it wasn't a race. It was a great group thing. I made 10 friends on the bike leg, let's say. It was on gravel bikes. Incredible nature, very intimate event. Maybe 200-300 people max. Espresso at the transition. I think people are starting to feel the need to reconnect with nature and move a little bit away from the competitive PB type events and more towards friendly, community driven events like this. So you're seeing a lot more mountain bike races popping up, gravel bike racing, things that are in nature that have less to do about beating the guy next to me and more about getting to know the guy next to me. So which is, again, I think more local organizers are able to facilitate, because you can't have tons of people doing these events, but something that really reconnects you with the reasons why we're participating in events. And it's not really to just beat my time. It's about the experience. It's about finishing and having creating memories where you can look back and say, wow, that was an incredible time that I had there, and not in terms of my watch, but this experience. So really looking forward to more of these type of races popping up, and again, the participant feedback that we can then draw into the reviews to help empower these organizers to grow. So yeah.
Sounds wonderful. And just quickly, without going too far down a rabbit hole, the kind of commercial models of that, the mass participation industry has been struggling, I think, for many years in terms of the commercial models. A small event, you said 300 people. Are those events commercially viable, or are we starting to see organizers that are, very purpose driven, saying, yes, making money is important. They need to be sustainable and I need to make a living. But a lot of this is really about people saying, I want to contribute, I want to bring community together, or are they in their own right commercially viable on those small numbers?
I think, most organizers never really started thinking they're going to create unicorn, companies, right? They are purpose driven. They just love seeing people's smiles, as they cross the finish line. The smaller grassroots events, those are, I think most organizers start out just by looking to give people a great time and obviously create a financially sustainable way to do that. But it's never about creating a multi-million, dollar company. It's more about the experience and the purpose. These type of events, while certainly make it challenging to make it financially sustainable. If you hold one event per year, at the same time allows you to hold more events per year of this type. So I can assure you that offering people an experience like I had in Girona, for example, is good. Just leaves me clicking on that website day after day, saying what's the next one. When are they going to put on the next one? Also, the fact that they don't have to close roads. It's not a race. It's not a competition in the sense that they need certain licenses. Everybody just going for a group ride, organized group ride, but it's not really a race. Makes it easier to circumvent some of those, compliance and regulatory hurdles that traditional race organizers face. So it's all about leveraging your strengths as a local organizer, a smaller organizer. What kind of events can I put on that require less, red tape, but also creating an experience that people want to have almost on a week by week basis, to be honest. So there's some limitations, but there's definitely a lot of opportunities in these type of events as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's great insights. Thank you. I always like to talk about challenges on the aid station, and certainly, you already alluded to, there couldn't have been a much worse time to start fundraising than February 2020. Like any entrepreneur, and our industry is full of entrepreneurs, you've gone through some challenges. Share with us some of the challenges and some of the ways you've overcome those, and any insights that you would give. There's many people that are still, and I'm certain 2022 in my mind is going to be a transition year still. Hopefully we're heading in the right direction, but it's going to be challenges. So, some tips and insights of how to overcome challenges of what you've experienced.
Of course. And I wish there was a cookie cutter mold about how to overcome some of these challenges, but each challenge is so unique in the sense that you can never get a how-to manual and how to overcome them. And our situation was unique going into 2020, but at the end of the day, it came down to the fact that we needed to somehow keep the lights on. Somehow, we were running out of money. We, our current investors were not necessarily looking to support at that time. And, I can't blame them. The macroeconomic environment was just so risky, and they've got their own businesses to run as well. But from my perspective, we had 5 employees on, been together from the start, all just really amazing people. For me, finding a way to sustain the company and them was my priority. So obviously from revenue making potential, 2020 was really bad. There was no marketing budgets from the organizers. So we just had to cut as many costs as possible and go into product development mode. So we just went back. We did have a little bit of remaining funds in order to just keep the lights on and just struggle ahead. But instead of, just going into self-pity mode and just waiting for things to improve, we just went to, okay, what do we really want to do during this time, and how can we better service our customers so that when we get out of this, if we get out of this, we at least get out of this in a much, much stronger position. And we just looked at our business model again, what we stand for as a company, what we want to achieve, a really genuine look at us as a team and the product. And we just went into full product development mode, which I think right now is in an incredible position to thrive, as long as the market recovers. And As a founder, I think there's many leadership principles that people throw around, but for me, it really comes back down to an old cliche that the team it's everything about the team, and it's about finding a way to empower the team. There's a great book by David Hawkins, which is called Power versus Force. And essentially, he discusses the different leadership methods of people forcing, a behavior on you, like a boss being like, "Do this," and I don't care why, but you have to do this. Versus somebody using power. Power is about inspiring. Power is about understanding, getting people to understand why you're doing certain things, and these people will just follow you, even for even by accepting no money. It's insane. So for me, the fact that we haven't lost a single employee since we started, the team has been intact, speaks volume to the fact that people feel, my guys feel like they have ownership over what we're doing. They always understand why we're doing what we're doing. I'm always fully honest about what it is we're doing and why. And I think they rally behind that, and they feel empowered to make their own decisions and have their say on how this company moves forward. And because of that, they become emotionally involved into the company. So from a leadership perspective, really empowering people and getting them to believe in themselves, and getting them to understand and believe in the product is probably one of the most important things, especially in challenging periods where you're asking more of people without necessarily being able to give more back. So the position we're at now is, I think, as a team, we rallied and managed to get through this period. So I feel like going into 2022 with incredible momentum.
Congratulations, yeah. Fantastic. And one of the things that comes through very clearly there is purpose and your alignment to purpose with what you're doing, which is we're hearing more and more of that through the industry and in life generally. So congrats on that. It's awesome. As always, time flies really fast, and I always like to end with an inspiring story. Clearly, what you've just spoken about is hugely inspiring, and what you've created. Any particular story that stands out for you to inspire the listeners with, please?
Being persistent is again, it's a startup cliche, but really being persistent and knowing who you want on your team, for example, who you want to have as an investor, and believing that you can make that happen is really important, right? So growing up, for me, for example, Chris McCormack was one of my heroes. As an endurance athlete, he's a 3-time world champion in triathlon, and as a personality, he always seemed like somebody that I always wanted to be involved with, or dreamed about him having an influence in my company and on the board, for example. So at some point, I think it's 2018, I guessed his email address, and I started emailing, having no idea if these emails are even reaching anybody. At some point, he replied, which was insane. For me, this guy, if you love basketball, it's almost like trying to get Shaquille O'Neal to back you. It was just mind blowing. And before I know it, I was in London. I traveled to Frankfurt. He was transiting from Dubai or I don't know what, and he said, "Well, I'll be in Frankfurt for 2 hours, at the airport if you want to." I'm like, I'm going there. So I flew from London to Frankfurt. At the airport for 2 hours, pitched him, and then flew back. And Chris McCormack ended up being in our board of investors. Well, he was an investor in RaceCheck and also board of advisors, and he was also very pivotal in our deal with Super League. So I think as a startup founder, having the audacity and the nerve and the boldness to reach out to the people that you've always dreamed about being involved with in business is, you never know what happens, and it might just actually happen, but if you don't try, you don't know. So these days it's easy to guess people's email addresses, so go for it. That's I think that's a story that I will always remember, just meeting the guy at the airport and just feeling starstruck, but at the same time having to keep a very, professional demeanor and making sure he understands what it is we're doing. So, but it was just incredible to experience that. Yeah.
Wow, what a great story! Guessing his email and
Yeah.
then meeting him at the airport. Congrats! Wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Alex,
yeah.
great conversation. Congratulations. All the very best for 2022. It sounds like it's going to be a great year for you and hopefully a great year for the industry as well. Chris
Thank you,
McCormack,
yeah.
obviously a former guest on the Aid Station and a
Of
former
course.
speaker at MPW in Singapore. So you're in great company and it's wonderful to have had the conversation. Thanks so much for making the time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Chris.